Yeah, we got the UN Security Council vote at 5 p.m. Eastern on a draft resolution for admitting Palestine as a full member state to the UN. America does not like that at all, and neither does Israel. And that's why America doesn't like that. Kenny Clips is reporting on the vote, saying Biden admin is quietly pressuring countries to vote against the Palestinian statehood at the UN, according to the diplomatic cables leaked to him. If you would like to read the full-blown diplomatic cables, it's on the Intercept article that he posted. That's right. Our boy Kenny Clips back at it again. Also, another update from 50 minutes ago, which is U.S. to vote no and to veto UN Security Council resolution to accept Palestine as a full member state of the UN. Interesting. Why would they do that? That's crazy. Well, we did know about it because Kenny Clips actually clapped it. He clipped it up and he chopped it up. So yeah, I'm shocked, dude. I'm shocked. Let me tell you something. Boys, I am surprised, perturbed, disturbed, in awe. How could this have happened? I mean, seriously, this entire time, I thought Joe Biden wanted a two-state solution. That's so weird, bro. I mean, it's an odd circumstance. How did it happen like this? How did this happen? It is very strange behavior. It's like, I thought he was mad at Benjamin Netanyahu. I also thought, on top of him being mad at Benjamin Netanyahu, that he wanted to, I don't know, maybe push for a, didn't you say it wouldn't work? Wait, what? Wait. Yes, I believe in a one-state solution, but do you think Biden said no to the recognition of a Palestinian state, which even if there is a one-state solution, this is still advancing towards that goal? Do you think Biden was like, nah, I'm a one-stater, dog? Come on, bro. No, I get it. Yeah, okay, you just want to talk shit. Yeah, Biden, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. According to our liberal in the chat, Mind Drive, our defender of the liberal Democratic Party, Biden is a one-stater. Yeah, he read 10 Myths. He read 100 Years. He read some Avi Shlaim, and now he's like, you know what? Fuck it, YOLO. I'm actually a one-stater. This is unacceptable. To be fair, chatter, you are correct without recognizing it. As I said last night on Mark Lamont Hill's late night lecture show, there is one state. It's called the State of Israel, and it occupies all of the Palestinian territories and is doing ethnic cleansing. It is a single state apartheid regime. So let's just end the apartheid, is what I say. Okay. So, that's, oh yeah, one of the Hasanabi heads actually did a pretty solid thread. Creative director for Blastoise, editor for The Veil Official, Alex Naivety, did a pretty solid thread I saw. We're gonna look through that as well. The GOAT, thank you for this. We'll also look at that. We'll also look at the Tyler Oliveira shit in a little bit. Not yet. How do you hold strong? I'm over politics and feeling like voting has no effect. Do we just have to wait like 50-year-olds to die off? No, that's not how that works. Because there's a shit ton.
I hope Tyler feels.
There's a shit ton of awful scumbags out there who are our age, who will definitely continue being just genuine scumbags, like unimaginably cruel scumbags. After all, look at Tyler Oliveira. So no, it's not about like old people dying out. It also doesn't really, you don't do things and you don't try to move the needle in the positive direction specifically because you're gonna see immediate results. You do it because you want to leave a better future for the next generation. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You do it with the hope that inevitably the dam will break. That's it. That's the real reason why you do the things that you do. It's not about voting, it's about everything that you do beyond voting. So, yeah. Society only prospers when old men plant seeds for trees they will never sit in the shade of, as I say all the time. So, Hassan, you're not entirely wrong about, but there are some things wrong about. I don't hate you, but you're kind of pouring, dude. I know, bro. I know. I'm a little pouring. Okay, it is what it is. Let's get to what's something that's not pouring. Israel and Iran. I said old men, and you had to go old women and MBs too. Yes, yes. No, no women, no MBs, just men. That's what I meant. Okay, I didn't use the men as a catch-all term. How are there still aesthetic radicals in here? Jesus, Lord mercy. I feel like it was a joke for the most part in this community, and now it's become like a genuine thing. People being like, not history, but her story. Exactly, that kind of shit. Holy shit, I forgot how stupid leftist echo chambers was. Have you been balding more recently? Not really. It does look that way when I pull my hair forward when it's wet, though, but my hairline is actually pretty fucking solid. How have you not alienated them all yet? Unfortunately, those rad libs are also some of the only fucking people that are genuinely invested in permanent revolution, I guess. What was it? Someone was saying what? I saw TikTok in Northern Line saying the exact tree bit, but all the comments were glazing him for his profound take. Wait, what? No, when I say the tree thing, people think is like fucking profound too. It's not my take. Anyway, who gives a shit? Did you go over the thread addressing the ADL anti-Semitism report? Not really. What is this? We're witnessing the greatest political comeback of all time. Oh God, I love Trump supporters, bro. Like they just fantasize about him being hot, which I think is the funniest thing you can do. Like thinking he's a good president is obviously deluded, right? Thinking that he has your best interests in heart is obviously stupid. That much I do still understand. What I don't understand, however, is looking at him and looking at what he represents, like physically, and going, that's a hot guy to me. Okay? Like, that's a sexy man. It's just like, you have to literally be hallucinating. They have that same level of hallucination that people have, like that very unique mental disability or whatever that you get from, like, you know, having your fucking frontal lobe get lasered off or something, where you think people have evil face. You know what I'm talking about? But instead they have it for Trump only. Instead of seeing demons, they just see Trump as a sexy man. To me, I feel like that's peak mental illness. Maybe I'm wrong, but I genuinely feel like that is akin to, like, you know, eating people's faces type shit. Like that's a precursor. Because, like, although beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it is obvious to me that Trump is not like this person that you present him to be at all. Because it's not like the people that say Trump is hot are like, oh, I like that he's like schlubby. I like his nussy. I like his big fat ass. Like, I like those things, right? I love his nussy, his neck pussy, for those of you who don't know. I love his big fat ass. I love that he's built like a fridge. I love that he leans forward like the fucking Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like, to me, those are beautiful things, right? I see the beauty in everything, and I certainly see it in Trump. The problem, however, is that these people fantasize about him being super hot. Like they don't see all of those things and appreciate him like I do, and instead they act like he has a six-pack and muscular. It's very weird to me. It's crazy because he genuinely looks like this. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's so funny how if Trump was a fictional character, I'd praise his visual design so perfectly capturing the slimy and smug yet fragile and artificial facade of the modern corporate capitalist, but he's a real person who looks like that. There are truly wonders all around us. Yes, bro, there are cathedrals all around for those with eyes to see, baby. That is, do you guys know who first said there are cathedrals all around for those with eyes to see? Do you know where that originally comes from? I had forgotten. because I've been memeing about it nonstop. No, it's not Liv Agar. It's Jordan B. Peterson, chat. It was Jordan B. Peterson looking at like one of those Evian bottles on a plane with the light beaming off the Evian bottle. He was probably zooted out of his goddamn mind. It's such a beautiful, poetic, poignant quote, okay? Yeah. There are cathedrals all around for those with eyes to see. This is the greatest thing he's ever said. It is also very funny, though, because I think he was low-key doing this to just be like, I'm on a private jet. I think he was trying to tastefully do the I'm on a private jet, actually. That is a 10-10 banger, okay? I think he was trying to humble flex that he was on a fucking PJ, okay? And he just saw that, was zooted out of his mind because he was like looking for something to take a photo of. And he saw that, thought it looked like a cathedral because he was zooted out of his goddamn mind. And in that very moment, the perfect chemical compound, the perfect chemical concoction allowed him to achieve greatness. This is a quote that will stay in my mind permanently. It lives in my brain, okay? And yet, the starting point of such a beautiful statement is this silly ass, zooted out, crackhead, right-wing charlatan who will never be as poetic as he was in this very moment. A benzo clock is right twice a day. It was just hitting hard, okay? I think it was just hitting. Like, sometimes you take like a perfect mixture of drugs and you just become like Bradley Cooper in that movie that is about Adderall. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like, it just hits. There's got to be like a mixture. Yeah, Limitless. Yeah. There's just a perfect mixture, a perfect concoction that just like tweaks your brain and you just lock in and you just post something so fucking good that it has, you know, it has the capacity to move people, right? This is that. This is JBP's perfect moment. Anyway, how the fuck did we get here? We're going to talk about tension among Israel and its allies continues as it considers a response to Iran. Now Israel is saying we will be hitting Iranian soil, actually, as a matter of fact. Don't even fucking play with me, big dog, is what they're saying. Which is interesting because they were like, oh, we should hit Iran immediately. And then they were like, oh, never mind. Let's talk to fucking, you know, Joe Brandon. Because, like, remember, they kind of popped off with this whole, like, defense of Israel thing, which was pretty sick. And also, there's not a lot of appetite to fucking attack Iran from the Israeli public. So what are we doing? Even though there were horny boys in the fucking war cabinet that were like, we have to strike now and fast because this is the momentum. The opportunity is here. Let's do it. Anyway, Israel is like basically got the world on a holding pattern right now where it's like, are we going to have World War III? Are we not going to have World War III? It's pretty cool, I think. Fuck it, YOLO. You know, that's what I say. YOLO. It's Jover. Fuck it. Spice it up a little bit. I want to be a ghoul like Walton Goggins in Fallout. You know what I mean? I want to be like 300 years old with no nose, constantly looking for chemicals to be able to survive as a ghoul and become a bounty hunter. And like, you know, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the stuff, but you know, it's pretty sick. I want dog meat. I want like a dog companion that is mutated and perfectly genetically modified to carry my stuff when I'm over encumbered. That's what I want. Anyway, power armors are pretty powerful too, pretty sick in general. Even though they do obviously have some genuine issues that causes a lot of brave soldiers fighting against the Reds to die. But I do want to be a gunslinger. Fuck it, dude. Launch them. Fuck it. Launch them. Fuck it. We ball, dude. Let's go. Let's go. Let's just ball. I'm over encumbered every day, bro. Me too, dog. Trust.
Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is sending a message of defiance as allies try to cool tensions over Iran. Deborah Patta has the story.
Best as I could.
Prime Minister Benjamin.
Yeah, we got the U.S. approving a Rafah operation in exchange for no Israeli counterstrikes in Iran. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? America's like, hey, man, you can continue doing the genocide, even though we hated that you were doing it, but we didn't really hate it, but we were acting like we hated that you were doing the genocide for quite some time. But like, now you can keep doing the genocide. Don't put it on hold. Go ahead. Just don't strike Iran. You know, it's great. It's great.
Benjamin Netanyahu has brushed off calls for restraint from Israel's allies as his war cabinet deliberates a response to Iran. They have all kinds of advice, he said, but I want to make it clear we will make our own decisions. There is global concern this could spiral into a regional war and open a new front for Israel.
I don't want to hear libs speak for a week. Dude, you're gonna hear them. I suspect that like all of the liberal Joe Brandon defenders who are also happen to be defenders of Israel are going to be like, see, he's actually a brilliant tactician. Do you want World War III to happen? He's calling for restraint by saying, Israel, keep doing your genocide, which is literally against the position that he made last week, which was, Israel, stop doing the genocide. You cannot go to Rafah. It's a red line for us. So they don't give a fuck. That's the whole point. They don't give a shit. They've never gave a shit, and they still don't give a shit. And they deserve to be punished. They deserve to be punished for their moral culpability, for their lack of interest in stopping Israel, and they will be punished for the record. I think that America will be punished. I think Israel will be punished. I think everyone is going to be worse off as a consequence of these actions. But I do think punishment is coming in the form of global instability if there isn't a genuine course correction here, okay? If there isn't genuine course correction, it's done. Like, what are we doing here? It's just full-blown, full-tilt ethnic cleansing in broad daylight. Nobody is looking at Israel the same way ever again. This will make the living conditions of Jewish people worse overall, as like Israel continuously says, no, we're doing genocide and we're doing it for fucking for Judaism, which is a lie, a gross anti-Semitic lie. Please call for a ceasefire. I will not be condemning Israel, nor will I be calling for a ceasefire. Come on, dude.
Israel still fighting in Gaza after more than 6 months. Every day there are regular airstrikes. This one killing 4 people after a UN school sheltering displaced Palestinians in the north was hit. I can't find my daughter, cries this distraught woman. Everyone here has already lost so much. And now Gaza is hurtling towards famine.
And it's urgent.
It is urgent, absolutely.
There has been an improvement with the number of trucks bringing humanitarian aid into Gaza, but the problem is distribution. That, says Israel, is the UN's responsibility. But the UN's head of aid distribution told us Israel systematically impedes delivery within Gaza by delaying access at checkpoints. Unless things change, the UN warns famine will consume Gaza by next month.
It's hurting because it's man-made and totally preventable.
For CBS Mornings, Deborah Patta, Jerusalem.
I now give the floor to His Excellency.
Palestinian state could not be harm to peace, says the Palestinian representative of the UN. I am in support of any kind of recognition of a Palestinian state, despite the fact that I am a believer and I am committed to a one-state solution. Obviously, any kind of autonomy, any kind of recognition of Palestinian people as a people, Palestinian statehood as a nation is obviously good because it moves the needle in the right direction. So don't make these ridiculous fucking assumptions about what I believe, and don't make these ridiculous assertions yourself as well.
Mr. Ziad Abu Amr, Special Representative of the President of the Observer State of Palestine.
السيد الرئيس، معالي الأمين العام السيد أنطونيو غوتيريش، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الوفود الموقرة. يشرفني أن أنضم إليكم اليوم.
My honor to join you
في هذا
today
الاجتماع الهام.
in this important
أود أن أتقدم
meeting.
بالشكر الجزيل
I would
لكم
especially
السيد
thank you,
الرئيس
Mr. President,
على عقدكم
for
وترأسكم
holding
هذا الاجتماع
and
المهم.
presiding over
كما أود
this
أن
ministerial
أعبر
meeting.
عن امتنان
I
دولة
would
فلسطين
also like to express the gratitude of the State of Palestine to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his wise leadership of this organization, especially given the catastrophe that is currently happening in the Gaza Strip. I would also like to thank Algeria for placing the Palestinian cause as a priority on the agenda of the Security Council, including the membership of the State of Palestine in the United Nations. We would also like to express our thanks and gratitude to the countries that recognize the State of Palestine and the peoples of the world that believe in our right to self-determination in our land, the State of Palestine. We also thank the countries that developed their relations and that cooperated with us. And we do hope that these countries will recognize the State of Palestine as soon as possible, based on the principle of sovereign equality between nations and mutual respect. We also renew our gratitude to all countries that supported Palestine receiving the status of observer state and the states that called on the Security Council to look into and consider the full membership of the State of Palestine in the UN. We also thank Arab countries and the non-aligned movement for joining this request based on the Riyadh summit. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the plight of the Palestinian people.
Do you want a one Arab state instead of Israel? No, man. I just simply don't want the top of the hour ad break to be fucking clapped up by this kind of shit. Okay? That's what I want. I want a singular state where there is no more people chirping about random shit at the top of the hour, specifically to try to catch me, okay, and debate me with some bullshit. I want a state where everybody doesn't see the 3-minute ads that I serve at the top of the hour. Okay. They don't see them because they're all subscribed. That's what I want. You understand? And you can be a part of that state as long as you subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. That's violent, you bitch. You woke up and chose violence. Yes, that's right, dude. I did. I'm gonna skip the UN Palestinian statements.
And I'll give the floor to the representative.
I guess like I could. Because I agree with it for the most part, so I don't know why I'm like, I don't know what additional commentary I can do here. It's because you only look at chatters that hate you. That's not true. I look at chatters that love me as well. Also, my haters also love me. Let's be real. So, we're going to talk about Colombia too. Hold on. I'm going to get to this in a second. This is like a developing situation as well, but students have taken to the streets to prevent the corrections buses with students from leaving. Bro, Colombia was like, yeah, it's time. Like, let's just go in there and let's just start whipping students up. Let's just start ripping and dipping, baby. Let's go. But you're not going to see this? Stop. You know I'm going to see it. You know I'm going to see that hustle. Okay, stop it. Do you think Israel are delaying a response to give themselves time to reset their defense? Saying something contentious so that you give me the attention and I can thank the anonymous gifter who allows me not to see the top of the hour ad break. Okay. Everybody stop posting about how I'm not going to see shit. All right, you know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about Colombia real quick before we get back to like broader stuff going on in Israel. So as far as I understand, Ilhan Omar's daughter is one of the 3 students that gets suspended. Where the fuck was it? Yeah, Ilhan Omar's daughter, Isra Hersey, is one of the 3 students that got suspended for standing in solidarity with Palestinians facing a genocide. Okay? Which is ridiculous. She is obviously a part of the Columbia University Apartheid Divest, the Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine. That is one of the organizations that was disbanded alongside the Jewish Voice for Peace. These were all student-led organizations. There are a lot of Jewish students in Columbia that were a part of these organizations, especially the Jewish Voice for Peace. And yet Columbia disbanded them because, you know, they were fucking the bag up. A lot of these colleges, for those of you who don't know, let me explain something to you, okay? When we went to the Melbourne Palestine protests, you probably saw students holding up placards that had QR codes on it, demanding that you divest. And you were like, what am I fucking divesting from? What's happening here? And those placards actually wanted schools to divest from some of these mega corporations that work alongside the Israeli state that participate in Israel's ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign and apartheid state. So what does divest mean? It is a demand that our universities no longer fund these corporations in the stock market. Now, the thing is, why should a university even have funds in fucking any of these corporations like CAT, let's say, right? Well, that's because all universities, especially in the Western world, operate like fucking hedge funds. That's exactly what a university is at this day and age. Colleges literally are just basically fucking hedge funds. Just woke, gay hedge funds led by a dean who's more interested in continuing to add on to the overall billion-dollar endowment so you can keep making these cool investment decisions. And therefore, this line of attack is very successful. To demand your college endowments not go to companies that are supporting the Israeli apartheid regime is actually very smart business. It's a good way to demand change. So, because it's a good way to demand change, to get like some kind of needle moving in the opposite, in the good direction, which is the opposite direction of the bad direction, which is the direction that we seemingly are bouldering towards every fucking day. Okay? These kinds of demands are, of course, met with by the supposedly very liberal, very tolerant, very understanding institutions such as Columbia University. How are they met with? Well, they're met with, of course, a strong and very authoritarian response. Those of us in the Gaza Solidarity encampment will not be intimidated. Now, you might not have even heard about this, but there was an encampment of students at Columbia University, standing resolute until their demands were met. Our demands include divestment from companies complicit in genocide, transparency of Columbia's investments, and full amnesty for all students facing repression. Here's what the response looked like. Columbia University saw the students protesting and got annoyed with it and basically decided to send possibly NYPD with a bunch of paddy wagons. That was how they were dealing with it. They were like, oh, you guys are fucking peacefully protesting and demanding that we divest from, this genocidal war machine that we are funding and facilitating. Well, guess what, dude? Guess what? Fuck you. Fuck you. You're going to fucking jail. Shut the fuck up. That's what they're doing. Now, of course, this is happened throughout American history, and those who do get arrested in situations like this are almost always on the right side of history. You know, you get a little snapshot of what this used to look like. What this used to look like throughout history in general. I mean, there's Vietnam protests. There were Vietnam protests at Colombia, obviously, and guess what happened back then? The same exact shit that is happening now. Okay.
Do like whatever.
Just a normal response, dude. Normal response and normal reaction. So glad we got the fucking Guido Goon Squad out here wearing fucking tactical military gear. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Land of the free, by the way. Hey guys, this is not Vladimir Putin's Russia, okay? This is what's happening here. Is this China? Is this goddamn China? Is this Vladimir Putin's Russia? Or is this New York, one of the wokest goddamn cities in the goddamn country? Turns out America doesn't like free speech either. Oh my God, I'm shocked. Shocking. Shocking. I went to Colombia, and it's honestly insane to see this, considering Ivy League schools are supposedly infested with lefties. No, of course, Colombia has always been like this. This is why I always say Ivy League institutions are fucking bullshit. They literally present themselves as aesthetic radicals, but they're just simply liberal defenders of the American military state. Yale and Harvard specifically are basically scouting grounds for the State Department. This is an operation that churns out the most war criminals per capita, okay? It is a war criminal factory. It is the descendants of war criminals ready to do more war crimes in the fucking future. That's what these Ivy League institutions do. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that there aren't brilliant, brave, bold, awesome socialist individuals who happen to go to these schools. Of course there are. But make no mistake, the notion, and I've said this for fucking years, and it's yet another moment of vindication for me. Not that this is about me, obviously it's fucking bullshit, but like this is something that I fought against for many, many goddamn years. Back when you guys were in your fucking diapers, I was duking it out in the marketplace of ideas against people like Charlie Kirk talking about free speech on college campuses. The one thing that I always said, the notion that college campuses are actually objectively leftist is a ridiculous one. Have you never actually fucking encountered the business school? Of course you didn't, Charlie Kirk, because you didn't go to college. But let me tell you, the notion that college campuses are all woke socialist is ridiculous, okay? It is objectively ridiculous. Most of these institutions are churning out neoliberal, hegemonic propaganda. This is... the college campuses are in the interest of creating the next professional managerial class that absolutely abides by the religious almost zealotry required to defend neoliberalism. That is what the goal is, and it's very successful in that regard. Right-wingers talking about college campuses being woke is exactly like right-wingers that live in rural bumfuck parts of Texas talking about how the big cities are riddled with heroin needles and homeless people and crime that will kill you. Why the fuck am I asking a fish what it's like to live on land, brother? You ain't ever seen it. You can't live on land, fish. Shut the fuck up. Anyway. This is weird. Do you guys just be upset all day? You're right, Stock Market Andy. Except your name is Stock Market Andy. Why aren't you upset all day? It's not like your shit's doing well. Get a real job. All right. My college brought Rabbi Shmuley to talk about Israel in like 2019, and TPUSA still called us woke Marxist institution. Exactly. Every single one of these colleges... Every single one of these colleges. I promise you I'm not a hater. It's not really on topic, but some criticism, I guess. How can you make fun of certain streamers, XD, for being Wikipedia readers, but whenever I tune into your stream, you have like 20 Twitter tabs open? Would you not agree you kind of lose the ability to make fun of others when you get the most of your research from socials? Brother, I'm actually covering something that is happening in the real world right now. It's called news. It's called news coverage. And I'm relying on journalists who I trust to, to deliver verified information to do ongoing news coverage. Okay? I don't think you understand it. When I'm looking at Twitter tabs, I'm not just simply looking at Twitter tabs. I'm looking at Twitter tabs from journalists who I know, my peers, okay, who are breaking news. Like, for example, the Ken Klippenstein's phenomenal coverage specifically on, and then of course we're looking at memes too, but specifically on the American State Department refusing to acknowledge the Palestinian statehood. That's how news coverage works. You are hyper focusing on the aesthetics. The joke about being a Wikipedia streamer is that when you learn about an issue, you shouldn't make up your mind before you know all the fucking details and then go to Wikipedia, cram a bunch of fucking Adderall, and like read through Wikipedia pages to pick apart a couple quotes that you think will defend your position. That's what we make jokes on when we talk about someone being a wiki streamer. But of course, if you want or demand that kind of confirmation bias, you probably are in it just simply for winning an argument on the aesthetic grounds in general. Now, unfortunately, as it stands, Twitter has become a right-wing shithole, and it's becoming increasingly less valuable as a source for real journalism. But, until it completely crashes and burns, I'm probably still going to use it as a part of my work. But do not believe those who come in here or who tell you that all I do is read Twitter threads. They're coping. The Twitter threads that I'm reading are from journalists and analysts who I trust. Okay? There's a difference. Journalists and analysts who I trust are breaking their stories on Twitter still. When someone goes to Wikipedia after they made up their mind on genocide and then look for quotes, like quote mine Wikipedia so they can like craft a narrative with post hoc rationalizations on why that genocide is actually good, you're not going to, you're not going to be able to develop a cohesive narrative. D literally made factual mistakes multiple times during the Lex Fridman debate because of his wiki education. Accept it and move on. Urge him to read a book or some original sources instead of complaining. Exactly. If you want your favorite intellectual giant to be better as a debater, I guess, if that's all you care about, if all you care about is a blood sport, which I don't, but if you only care about that sort of thing, you should probably urge him to do more reading. Do more reading on actual books. He like literally doesn't believe that people even sit down and read books, which I think is pretty funny. Anyway, that's not what I'm doing here, obviously. What I'm doing is like news coverage and political commentary. I have already done the book reading beforehand. Considering that I've been covering this issue for 10 fucking years and didn't decide to take a stance after October 7 on the genocide side. That's it. I feel like it is genuinely scary that there are entire groups of people online who fancy themselves to be like intellectually curious people whose morality is so completely out of whack, who then do think that they are actually doing the work of educating themselves by simply quote mining Wikipedia to like present an argument that you would probably be able to use on someone who is not very knowledgeable. But when you actually go against someone who is knowledgeable and stubborn and a bit of a piece of shit, really, in how stubborn they are, well, you see how fucking intellectually outmatched you are in that circumstance. He mauled it all the way through your iced coffee podcast yesterday and couldn't even demonstrate listening comprehension enough to actually address anything you said. How the fuck do you expect him to read a book? Yeah, that's the beautiful part about it. The beautiful part about it is that, it's never about addressing arguments. Obviously, like when I also engage in the petty shit slinging myself, I say, oh yeah, Mr. Bonarelli, Mr. Bonercelli, shit like that. But ultimately, it is the issue. The issue I take with him is not that he's like a wormy little piece of shit and just an overall scumbag with zero real friends, specifically because he's just awful to be around. The real issue I take with him is his political worldview and how he is a permanent contrarian and a debate mercenary, basically. And overall, just like a hateful person who has developed a very hateful audience that thrives on toxicity and drama, that operates exactly like 4chan poll way back in the day. And it's additionally gross that he presents himself as like a somewhat progressive person because he dukes on even dumber fucking red pill idiots. And all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, he's progressive. He killed this like red pillar. Of course he did. Those guys are fucking morons. That doesn't change the reality that like he does not have any real convictions at all. I think that many of that community has found that like they can do the same exact edgy Nazi memes and even have some of those edgy Nazi convictions, but as long as they call themselves progressive, then they can get away with it. So, why would I care about the opinion of someone who can argue for or against anything just for the sake of it? Well, it probably feels good. Think about it this way. Divorcelli, when he debates a person who you despise and you hate and ritualistically humiliates them thoroughly, you like that. That's it. You feel good because he has embarrassed someone that you despise. And there are good talking points that he's utilized in that debate that you can use as well. That's precisely how he brings a lot of people in. He does this very well against anti-vaxxers. He does this very well against red pillars and like the MRA side of the world. Okay? But overall, these are not actually firmly held convictions. None of it is really. He might personally care about some of these issues, sure, but overall his worldview is just like, I thrive in drama, I thrive by shit stirring, and ultimately all you need to know is this: you can sometimes understand who a man is and what they believe by who they choose to represent themselves as an enemy of. For someone like Divorcelli, his major enemies are not really Nazis. A lot of people in his community will say, oh, he debates Nazis all the time. His treatment of Nazis and far-right individuals and right-wing individuals across the board is infinitely better than his treatment of those who are actually a part of the left. That's it. That's all you need to know. Who do you think has more power in this country, especially as Donald Trump was the fucking president? Genuine out and about white supremacists and white supremacist ideology, or a bunch of trans people that offended you online? Like random trans people that work at Safeway and Costco who are just like fucking posting trans memes, you know? Who do you think actually has the power? Right-wingers think it is the trans person. So if you do hyper-focus on, random lefties online that you personally feel are disgusting, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and assume that maybe you're not all that progressive. He said support of Palestinians need to die. What is this?
Palestinians don't have like some national autonomy or authority there. They were just a state within the Ottoman Empire, and like those ethnic people were just roughly allowed to live there.
Do you have any idea as to how this mess will end? My guess is Israel is going to attack the Gaza Strip. There's probably going to be a fair amount of damage and deaths. And in 3 weeks, maybe, or 2 weeks, all of us are going to forget about this and move on to the next thing. People are conflating the baby with the 40.
Damn, he did such a... Wait, what? He was so right, dude.
And in 3 weeks, maybe, or 2 weeks, all of us are going to forget about this and move on to the next thing. People are conflating the baby with the 40 babies, and it's not like every single baby was...
Why can't these other Arab states take in their brothers? Where are our Arab brothers and
sisters? Why do we care about this loser? I would say that he's probably one of the more prominent pro-Israel voices in general, especially online. Obviously, he's not one of the most prominent voices for Israel on mainstream media, but he definitely is. An orbiter yesterday was crying about your gun tweet and was having a hard time ignoring Bonarelli saying that he is pro-genocide. He pretty much came with her son, wasn't joking, even though You said it was a joke and Bonarelli really was joking. Yeah, I know.
Sisters to host their other brothers and sisters. Shabira posted AI content of Israeli babies, claiming it was real. That is not true. Those pictures were real. Anybody claiming that it's AI babies is lying. That is not true. Yeah, I don't know. I should look into this. I should do, once I get home, well, I hope it's still somewhat relevant so we can like research it.
I don't think anybody in the Middle East really likes Palestinians. They seem to be pretty insane anywhere they go. They're not going to annex Gaza. That's not going to happen.
Okay. Well, be careful. We don't want to have you having a Hassan moment.
I'll stake a big claim on that. There is no shot that they annex it. If they did annex it, it would only be after a massive ethnic cleansing of Gazans out of the.
I like that they call it a Hassan moment in that community. When you like, he literally has a sequence of false predictions on a daily fucking basis. But it's like everybody always talks about the Russia will not invade Ukraine moment. That's literally at this point years ago. Something that I immediately, the side that is always wrong, as long as they're always wrong, but along with America's State Department, can always consistently get things wrong. It does not matter. But if you are against American propaganda, if you are against the American State Department's actions, if you're against American imperialism, the one fucking prediction you get wrong, even if your analysis on it was sound, even if you were literally channeling what Zelensky was saying, it doesn't matter. They will repeat it all the fucking time. Because you have to remember, I like how you're so chill about this. I didn't know there was major beef until I met a D-fan IRL and he was unhinged and talking shit on you. I never really heard about you talk about D until these last few months. Yes, I did not talk about Divorcelli until the Israel shit. Okay? That's it. And in the beginning of October 7, I even said that as long as you are pro-Palestinian emancipation, I think that it's fine. You're on the right side of history. I even fucking gave props to goblin porn lover Vosh for his consistent defense of Palestinians. I don't know where he is at now or what he believes now. I said the same for, horse porn, not goblin porn. Said the same for Boner Box too. I don't give a shit about this weirdos fucking orbiters as long as they are pro-Palestinian and pro-Palestinian emancipation. That's what I care about. That's all I give a shit about. That's all I care about on this issue. It is wild though that like, yeah, IRL in real life, his fucking fans are also bringing that exact same level of intensity to conversation to be like, I fucking hate this random dude online on Twitter. Like, this dude has despised me and stalked my ass with this fucking rabid ass community for the past 5 years and has every step of the way tried to make my life miserable. And even I don't fucking talk about him in the real world. You know what I mean? Why the fuck would I ever bring him up? And I didn't for years. And the only reason why I do now is because of this Israel Defense Brigade shit that he does on a genuine, on a regular basis. A lot easier to appear reasonable and kind when you don't have to confront your moral position every fucking time something awful happens.
Gazan territory into Egypt or into the sea. Bro, you have an optics issue? I have an optics issue for fucking retards, okay? You can watch anything I've said on this, or you can engage with any level of what I've said on this. You can argue that I have a quote-unquote optics issue, the same way that Palestinians have an issue that their bodies are... Hold on, I almost made an unhinged comment. There weren't like a group of people there that were like, we are the state of Palestine, or there was some territory recognized as Palestine or whatever prior to the British mandate of Palestine. Israel doesn't have radical terrorist factions as part of its state or government. Yeah, everybody has been on the, like, team of no ethnic cleansing. Like, yeah, this isn't novel. Yeah, no.
Yeah, except he wasn't.
See, look, he's got the destiny take. Ethnically cleansing isn't always bad.
Illegal settlements is not the threshold. I just don't know what the threshold would be.
It would probably be an excess number of civilian casualties. 10,000 feels bad, 20,000 feels bad, 30,000 feels bad. If like more than like 20, 30, 40,000 people Yeah, I think that would be really, really, really bad for Israel. Once this particular incursion into the Gaza Strip stops, I think everybody goes back to not giving a fuck again. That's my guess. A Palestinian identity is a myth. The idea that there's some Palestinian national identity prior to 48 is bull. Destiny, do you believe that Biden continuing to support the war effort is in his best interest for re-election? Yes, Israel's unbelievably popular with
his talking points are so easy to deflect. It's insane that people look to him as a source of intelligence. It's because his talking points might be easy to deflect, but debates, and I've repeated this over and over again, debates are not done for the truth, for arriving at the truth. Debates are conducted by those who are good at rhetoric. So most people that try to address any of the things that he's saying, especially in a real-time conversation, are going to end up getting yelled at quite a bit, and then also humiliated by his fan base that will never let go. His fan base are like a bunch of fucking pit bulls to a baby, okay? They are piranhas. They'll swarm you. They'll literally clip shit permanently out of context. They will go after your friends. They will go after those you collaborate with. And they will consistently keep doing this over and over again because they basically are the exact same people that used to operate this way during the peak of the alt-right. Destiny debated a lot of alt-right dipshits and converted them to not being like liberals or progressives really, but just Destiny fans. And they never actually let go of the blood sport that they loved. They never actually let go of the attitudes that they had. They never let go of their resentment. They never examined their worldview. They never really changed anything. They just said, yeah, I was an edgelord nihilist who called himself maybe a neo-Nazi. Now I'm an edgelord nihilist who calls himself a liberal, a Brandon supporter, a neoliberal, if you will. You know, pick whatever you want to pick. It doesn't matter because the real fun here is the toxicity, is the drama, is the cyber stalking, and it's the community memes that you cultivate off of shitting on those who are in the out group. It's actually pretty simple. That's it. That's basically all that is going on here. You know what I mean? Did you really just like see? They're here. They will always show themselves as well, by the way. They love lolcowing and they love debating, which is precisely the reason why they don't really have a lot of friends in the real world, because nobody wants to be around a dude who's like constantly fucking chirping about every single issue non-fucking stop, which is why I try to urge you guys in this community to consistently not be that person either, because I think it's like really fucking lame. Because as soon as I respond to this person and say, listen, brother, we know what his opinion is, there is no context that will, you know, that will make this look good. He is in support of Israel's actions in Palestine against the Palestinian population. He will move on to the next thing that I mentioned or something else. He will never address the point. A content creator that I really like, that used to cover the tactics in which the alt-right operate fairly well is, what's that guy? He did like all of those, he did all those like videos. What was his name? You clocked them so quick. They have logs about Destiny back from 2019 and have debate lorded you recently. Of course I did. Alt-right playbook from Innuendo Studios. Exactly. The alt-right playbook from Innuendo Studios is actually pretty good, because if you go through their entire alt-right playbook, you will realize like, oh my God, that's exactly what they do. That's it. Those are the tactics. The tactics have never changed. And the position for why, like the reason for why those tactics even exist is because it's for fun. These guys are not genuinely morally interested in it. There might be some people who are morally invested in, like, I guess, Israel doing ethnic cleansing. But ultimately, the real reason is drama and debate and toxicity and whatever Divorcelli chooses as his next target, they'll fucking grab onto, and they'll intercept communities, and they'll act like they've been there and act like they've been fans for years. Like they basically are, I would say, a more presentable version of like Ice Poseidon's fan base. Like, it's the same kind of weaponization of autism, but at least these guys understand the room a little bit better. They will, however, still come across like unhinged weirdos if you start asking them about what they feel about incest or age of consent or whatever. But they know at least how to present themselves. Like they know how to say like, oh, I'm just curious. All I'm saying is it's not an accident. So many in this dude's community are straight up like fans of genuine pedophile Nazis. Like I'm talking real neo-Nazis. I'm not going to fucking mention their name on here, but like he has collaborated with neo-Nazis regularly, frequently. Some of which are actual pedophiles, actual neo-Nazis who have given money to neo-Nazi defense funds. And it's just memes. It's just for the memes, actually. We just think that they're funny and they just do funny memes. But the real reason why he has collaborated with them, no, I'm not talking about Nick Fuentes. I'm talking about Sam Hyde. Now, of course, the real reason why he collaborated with him was because he keeps saying that he wants to kill me. Sam Hyde, that is. Another person that I rarely ever mention because who the fuck cares? He's a pedophile Nazi. But he collaborated with him. I remember at the time, it was the top post at LSF. They deleted it, of course, now. But it was a top post at LSF, him being like, yeah, I want to kill him. You lay down with dogs, you're going to get some fleas, you know? You should treat them like football watchers treat Arsenal fans. Why argue with Arsenal fans when you can just wait? Just wait for them to embarrass themselves, lol. Yeah, exactly. What was the story about him trying to pipe the lady sinking migrant boats? Yeah. A lot of these people just carry fucking generational resentment almost. And they just hold on to failures that they've had in the past. And these hangups actually end up ruining their lives. In my opinion, it's just very unhealthy. That's it. Dudes who've lost out on opportunities or had phenomenal opportunities and fucked up the bag by being out and about Nazis, like the Cartoon Network show, the Adult Swim show that Sam Hyde used to have. And then that fall off ruins their fucking brain even further. Anyway, and they hold their grievances, like they hold that close to themselves. Like they still fucking talk about how like they think Tim Heidecker is the reason why Sam Hyde lost his fucking Adult Swim job. And they fucking will go to ridiculous extents, doxing, stalking, harassment. And they are exactly what you think they are. They look like the fucking Soy Jack meme in real life. They look like the fucking Cartman playing WoW in real life for the most part. It's just because I think in reality, this kind of resentment is just very pathetic, and holding on to this grievance and not letting go and just moving on is going to just fuck your brain up after a while. That's it.
Most American voters, of course. You have to acknowledge that the Palestinian people want violence. Not Hamas, not the PLO, and not just the terrorists, but Palestinians en masse think that fighting will serve their end. That thought needs to be wiped out. I'm sorry, but no offense, Iran's lost, okay? I'm sorry, they are the losers of the Middle East. Everybody looks at them, everybody laughs. They try to mine the fucking sea to the south of them. They try to shoot shit into Saudi Arabia. But Iran, the Ayatollah is such a loser, even the people in Iran hate the government, okay?
Sodas were not allowed in. Cookies were not allowed in. Can you explain to me what threat cookies pose to Israel from your perspective?
Well, if they're the Kilo Elf ones, it's like 200 calories a cookie, so maybe they just didn't want people getting fat. Are the people in Gaza being starved? When that population has exploded, one of the highest birth rates in the past 2 decades, I don't understand how they could sustain it if they didn't have food. Why did Israel ban potato chips, cookies, Gaza Strip?
Oh, wait, he Googled it, dude. He's going to Google a talking point real quick, bro. Just wait.
I read the ICJ opinion, and they didn't say to stop doing X. They just said, be careful.
With no weapons, just marked from a drone.
Yeah, I would say these guys are almost certainly Hamas. Footage being real doesn't mean you're not being manipulated. For instance, the Flower Massacre. That's not fake, but it's staged. Look at all these cameramen. This is film. This is.
He's doing Pallywood? Bro, you're not even Israeli. What's happening? Bro's talking like a fucking settler, dude. How did this happen? Like, I don't hear about Pallywood from anyone that is not directly like an Israeli ultranationalist. That's shocking. Pallywood is the conspiracy theory that is laughable to anyone with a fucking brain that only the most psychopathic far-right Israelis believe in. That they claim, well, I mean, or not believe in, but at least have the audacity to openly say. Normal Israelis also do believe in Pallywood, but I'm saying like most of them at least know better to just like not openly state that this is this is completely made up. Pallywood, for those of you who don't know, is the idea that Israel actually isn't doing any fucking genocide whatsoever or never really killing Palestinians. But as a matter of fact, Palestinians are just doing makeup and faking the deaths. And honestly, outside of Germans, I've never seen somebody in the West who has no connection to Israel whatsoever repeat the Pallywood statements like this. Yeah, it is like akin to Holocaust denial. Yes.
This is cinema. This is kino. If anything, people screaming for help might carry more evidence that it's a terrorist than not. What is the implication in your mind? Like, what are you thinking? You're like, oh.
Oh, dude, this is great, man. This is awesome. What do the Destiny fans have to say about this? They're probably just like, oh, dude, you're taking him out of context. He didn't mean it. He was just joking when he says people screaming for help actually is more likely that they're terrorists is a bar for sure.
Okay, the commanders in Israel today are like, all right, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to intentionally target this convoy of humanitarian aid. We're going to all of them. And then we'll just like publish a statement later today. It'll be epic and hilarious. Like, I'm going to turn the whole world against me. We're going to foreign nationals for the lulz. What a retarded statement. Like, even Russia wouldn't do something that retarded. Nobody operates in this way. It's so stupid. It's so patently obvious. Like, if you think this, you're a child and your whole.
Hassan, you're a fucking idiot. D's going to pull out a real good Google search to show you down. Yeah. I mean, listen. I'm not going to lie. Nice clip chimping. Listen to his context. Bro, what context? The context is him defending Israel. Is he not defending Israel? Like, you can't pick this apart. This is him defending the World Central Kitchen bombings that the entire global community recognized as completely unjustifiable, that Israel itself said oopsie on. Like, what do you mean? Is he saying, just kidding, this is what I would say if I was a genocidal asshole after the very second that clip ends? Because that's the only time where this would be out of context. Haha, just kidding. If I was a genocidal monster demonstrating how oblivious I am to the inhumanity presented by the horrifying videos that are coming out of Gaza, this is what I would say. He straight up in the previous one was talking about the flower massacre being kino. It is real, but it's still like cameras are presented. He's undermining the severity of the Israeli actions. Like, that's it.
Approach to the conflict is childlike. I don't know if there needs to be another occupation. I don't know if they just need another government. I don't know if there needs to be like a different Palestinian administrator, but the what exists right now just can't be. It just can't be. I don't know. It's wholly unacceptable.
You guys have an encyclopedia worthy paste bin of like everything that I say that is like clipped out of context or clipped in a way that it like is to show the absolute worst possible positions that I do not have. So go ahead, give me the context to any number of things that he's actually saying here. I'm sure you have his opinion locked and ready to go in the chamber too. He's so close to saying Palestinians need to die. Bro, he has said that. That was his starting position. His starting position on October 7, I think, was literally, yes, a genocide needs to happen, lol. And then he spent the next couple of months scouring Wikipedia to engage in post hoc rationalizations for why this is actually permissible. Everything that Israel is doing is good. He literally started there and worked backwards, which is something that he hates the most, because a lot of people do that And he says, I do that all the time. But when he does it in broad fucking daylight, his audience might even get mad at him for it. You know what I mean? So he desperately tries to fucking act like, no, I'm learning. I'm just learning. You hate learning. It's like, no, dumbass. We're not saying you hate learning. We're not making fun of you for learning. We're making fun of you for being completely oblivious to the reality and playing catch up. And still, of course, because your starting position is unshakable here, because you're the permanent contrarian, you're doing a very shitty job at defending genocide, which is already hard to begin with. Why are we shitting on looking up facts? Oh, he's being disingenuous. Yes, dude. Yes, using Wikipedia is okay. That's not the point here. It's so funny how quickly you get captivated by this like talking point where you're like, oh, I guess these people are shitting on research. No, dude, wiki research is just a catch-all term. But when I talk about wiki research lol, what I'm not talking about is like trying to genuinely learn what the fuck is going on by scouring Wikipedia. What I'm shitting on is having a position that is pro-Israeli, genociding Palestinian people, and then trying to play catch up against people who have been literally writing books on the matter since before he was born. You know? And here it is. There you go. Thank you. If you want context, he says bombing the kitchen crew was bad. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Thank God he said bombing the kitchen crew was bad. But to say Israel deliberately bombed, knowing them, they were just feeding Palestinians. So you went on a 5-minute rant when you both agree it was a bad thing to happen, just so you think that Jews were just looking for blood of innocence. Yeah, dude, that's what I said. You're right. Yeah, you definitely did a really good job of reframing my argument in the most charitable, most favorable way possible, even though I've, spent hours talking about it. No, my friend, my position on this is that the organized chaos that seemingly is disorganized on the ground is deliberate, okay? It's called kill zones. That is precisely what Israel is doing, so that their units that have already been operating without any kind of serious top-down scrutiny will continue doing these incredibly violent things. And the evidence I use for that is the 200 aid workers that they killed prior to the World Central Kitchen aid workers. There have been many instances where deconfliction has not saved the lives of aid workers, whether it be the Palestinian Red Crescent, whether it be ANIRA aid workers, whether it be any number of UNRWA aid workers that are working to feed Palestinians. Because Israel wants to do ethnic cleansing. That's the overarching goal here. And they've said it time and time again, and that's precisely what the ICJ court case is about. So I don't know why you are against, I don't know why you are against even liberals who are Zionists themselves, like Jose Andres, the founder of World Central Kitchen, who also said Israel deliberately targeted his convoy. They've killed 200 aid workers prior to this. Most of those aid workers also were, there working with round-the-clock communication with the IDF. You can't do that without communicating with the IDF. You can't move convoys without prior knowledge from the IDF, and they still get fucking lasered. How does that happen? It happens because it's a fucking kill zone. The goal is to starve out the population. The goal is to kill as many people as possible and their allies. I've seen this man defend BLM. I don't know what. Wait, what? I've seen this man defend BLM. I don't understand how he supports Israel, like how that happened. Bro, I don't know if you know this, but the reason why he got banned from this website, at least on one of these instances, was because he very famously said that he wants white supremacists to run over Black Lives Matter protesters. This is what happens. This is what happens when you only see people with TikTok clips where they're popping off. You're talking about a man who wrote a manifesto about how he should be able to say the N-word in private, actually, and it's totally fine, and that all of the people that were calling him out for it are actually the real racists. and wrong, who his fans still fucking act like writing an N-word manifesto was totally based. And that they still try to claim that I agree with him on it because he said, can I say the N-word in the vacuum of space? That was his brilliant counter. His brilliant counter to me when I said, bro, don't even publicly say that you want to be able to say the N-word in private. What does that, what do you mean? Like when you do that, you're basically giving permission to everyone. It's not smart, wise, or even on the optics front, it doesn't look good anyway. Like you are not morally consistent. You are not the champion of morality and justice for wanting to say the N-word as a white guy. This is like an issue that you should give up. And yet, in the most like pedantic debate pervert status, he tried to moralize the position. He tried to rationalize his way out of it. And ultimately, what he arrived at was, what if I were to say the N-word in the vacuum of space when no one else can hear it? That was the point. Yeah, just an insane hypothetical. Now, in a normal world, you look at that, especially if you're a normal person, you look at that and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is so idiotic. It's basically the same fucking hypothetical. It's basically the same exact hypothetical that like Elon Musk and Ben Shapiro presented when talking about what if you had to say the N-word to stop the nukes? It's like, if that's the hypothetical that you have to arrive at to be able to say it, then this is an idiotic argument to have.
I don't know, the Palestinian governments and the leaders have just sucked. They need like their Sadat or their Nelson Mandela. For as much as they obsess with comparing themselves to Africa, they need a Nelson Mandela figure, somebody that really wants to come out and make brave, strong steps, and not just some loser that wants to get rich and enjoy getting fucked off by his population for making...
Yeah, brave, strong steps. It's crazy. Israel does keep killing their Nelson Mandelas like regularly or jails them. But, you know, it is funny though.
Making good speeches. The international support for the Palestinians.
See, look. Come on, bro. No one's allowed to say the N-word yet. Your chat rules say everyone's allowed to have a heated gamer moment. This is weak bait for the top of the hour chatter. Okay? Don't come in here presenting yourself as like a debate dildo. Okay? And jails people like Barghouti, exactly. As a debate dildo. Coming in here, presenting yourself as that, just so you can serve me a top of the hour ad break. You can't catch me like that. Also, it is ironic when talking about Nelson Mandela, who very famously was pro-Palestinian emancipation, who called Israel a genocidal apartheid state, who also was jailed for decades over his refusal to condemn violent actions against the apartheid, the South African apartheid. But it's so easy to capture people. It's so easy to capture an audience that doesn't really know the full context. If you don't understand that Nelson Mandela, for example, was on the terror watch list until 2008, on the U.S. terror watch list until 2008, long after he had been released from prison, long after the apartheid had been successfully abolished in South Africa. And what the reasons for why the U.S. placed him on the terror watch list were due to his violent resistance against South Africa's apartheid regime, why he was jailed. You know, stop spreading misinformation. Everybody knows Mandela was arrested and jailed for being a communism. Yeah, good one. You can make an argument like this. You can make an argument like that because many people in your audience doesn't know either. So my anger is twofold in the situation, obviously. One, I'm running the ad break now, by the way. My anger is twofold. On the one hand, I'm angry because I disagree with him and he is like defending a genocidal apartheid regime, obviously. But the other anger I have is that for a person who presents themselves as the arbiter of truth, a beacon of morality, a beacon of like intellectual curiosity, He's actually making his fans dumber by feeding them a reliable narrative, by creating, ironically enough, an echo chamber. Now, his fans will say, oh, dude, he dukes it out with like people who oppose his opinions all the time. Yeah, he does. Except those intellectual sparring moments are not actually with the ultimate goal of arriving at the truth. There are very few moments where he will go up against someone who is infinitely more educated than him on the matter, and sometimes he shows them restraint and respect, like Mark Lamont Hill. And then it basically turns into a lecture. But ultimately, when he's in a contentious conversation with the likes of someone who is infinitely more knowledgeable than him, like Norm Finkelstein, he looks like a fucking dumbass. I just really do wish, I really hope that one day, at least some people in his community will be like, maybe I've been misled. Okay? Maybe I've been misled. I should be a little bit more intellectually curious. Because that's it. No, don't say, nah, they're too stupid. That's wrong. I will not do that. I will not be like, oh yeah, no, they're fucking too far gone. I think that's already happening to a degree. I do see more people pushing back on him online. No, those are people that aren't fans of his. Those are people in the out group being like, who the fuck is this guy? The more prominent he becomes by doing these debates, the more people are like, what the fuck is this dude about? And then they look into it a little bit and they're like, oh, gross. That's it. But I do believe personally that there are people that may have, signed up thinking like, well, this guy fucking dukes it out with right wingers a lot, and seemingly he's like a smart dude. He looks like an intellectual giant against a dude who's like advocating to fucking beat your wife or whatever. And he pops off on a moment like that. There are fans that come in because of that, because they also despise the red pill bullshit like we do. And they think that he might be a progressive person who may believe what he has to say about Israel and may tap in and start repeating some of those talking points. But I do ultimately believe that many of them, if they are even a little bit intellectually curious, will see the truth about the matter. That's it. That's it. Anyway, let's get back to the Columbia campus now. Talia Jane is on the ground talking about how the NYPD has entered the Columbia campus, led by Chellan Daughtry. SRG shouldered their way past students, then played a recording about an unlawful encampment and that students will be charged with trespassing. At least 1,000 students watching, yelling shame at the NYPD.
Oh, you gotta wait. Look, you gotta wait. Everyone's gotta wait. Go back that way. Thank you. Nope, go back that way. Excuse me, go back that way.
We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will divest.
In 1971, Sadat accepted the UN's jarring mission, a full peace deal in return for the Sinai, even including security concessions to Israel. Israel refused because, according to Labor's Chaim Bar-Lev, because they thought they could get some of the Sinai Peninsula. Only after the war, the Kippur War, did Golda accept a peace deal. Palestinians needed Sadat learn some fucking history first. Yeah. I think that the Golda quote that people love using is so good. Is just like the inverse of it. I say this all the time. The Golda Meir quote about how like there will never be any peace in Palestine until Palestinians learn to love their children more than they hate Jews. It is the inverse of that quote. that is actually real. Many of the things that the Israeli government presents itself as are just pure projections, down to the fucking human shield shit, to be honest. Yeah, there will only be peace in the Middle East until there will never be peace, long-lasting peace in the Middle East until Israelis learn to love their children and want to defend their own citizens and their own children more than they hate Arabs, hate Palestinians as a parasitic force. Looks like it wasn't bait. Oh, really? Oh, that's sad, man. So will Hassan and I shake hands with the Nazis who have advocated for the downfall of Israel for decades? Wait, first of all, let's unban that guy because maybe he's like mistaken. My friend, I don't shake hands with Nazis. I do not collaborate with Nazis. I do not bring Nazis to my house. I do not try to fucking have sex with Nazis who have tried to sink migrant boats. You might be mistaken. I've never had chicken and waffles with Nazis. I don't do that. I think that's a silly, gross thing to do. However, the community that you're coming from did do all of those things. I don't align with Nazis because they fucking despise your more significant enemy, I guess, meaning me. Like collaborating with Sam Hyde. Anyway. Here's the strategic response group heading to Columbia University earlier today.
Sorry, man. I got sick on this side.
NYPD is currently mass arresting Columbia University student protesters and loading them onto buses. Just normal stuff. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is not Vladimir Putin's Russia. This is not China. This is New York City, baby. Mass arresting student protesters of Gaza Solidarity encampment at Columbia University now. Cops are even arresting the NLG legal observers. They filled up one bus and are now filling up a second bus with arrested students and legal observers. Remember, these are students who are anti-war protesters. These are students who are anti-genocide protesters. Okay. Didn't you collab with Adam Friedland and Sam collab with him as well? Wait, what? One, I didn't even know that. And two, brother, there's a difference between Destiny's, the anger that I have towards Destiny doesn't come from him just fucking simply collaborating with Sam Hyde. If you are trying to desperately cling on to anything and everything to find, again, hypocrisy, like the hypocrisy fishing is so fucking stupid. You literally are trying to do transitive property here to be like, well, Adam Friedland also collaborated with Sam Hyde at a certain point, I guess. I didn't even fucking know that. And you've collaborated with him, so it's like I've collaborated with Sam Hyde or something. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Still want to keep them? Students protesting Israel equals mass police presence and mass arrest. Makes you wonder who runs this country, but I guess everyone will have mods ban me for saying that. Dude, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Okay? It's a stupid thing to say. You're trying to so desperately be like, oh, it's the Jews that run the country. It's not. Okay? It's stupid. This is a stupid take. There are far more. Why is this stupid? It's happening in front of you. Because it's not, okay, when they did this in 1968, do you think they did it for the Jews as well? Were the Jews also responsible for the Vietnam War? No, dumb fuck. It's not, I say this all the fucking time. If every single American Jew right now turned around and was like, we want Israel to fall, okay? We are all anti-Zionists. Do you think that the American government will go, okay, I guess we're just going to let our forward operating base perish? Do you think that's how it would work? This is not about Jews at all, man. The fuck do you mean? It's so funny that so many, that would never happen in a million years. That's a dumb as an example of your N-word in space. Except they're arresting Jews, dumbass. So it's not that ridiculous of an example. And the point I'm making is that America's support for Israel has nothing to do with Judaism. That's just a fucking lie that Israel also has argued over and over again. And it's a lie that dumb fucking fascist Nazis like you believe. There are far more evangelical Protestant Christians in the fucking South that literally are anti-Semitic themselves but love Israel in this country than there are Jews who want to defend Israel. You say AIPAC as though AIPAC is not simply taking advantage of the genuine organizing that's happening on the fucking ground. The biggest donors to Israel in this country are not Jews. The biggest donors to Israel in this country are Christians. Like literally, people will go, dude, there aren't that many people that believe in the rapture. No, there are that many people that believe in the rapture. There are 10 times more people that in this country right now that want to defend Israel for religious reasons on the Christian side for theological Armageddon purposes than there are Jews who defend Israel for religious reasons. There are not that many Jews that defend Israel for religious reasons at all. One, because there are not that many Jews in general, okay? But certainly not. It's a secular thing. Zionism is a secular religion, okay? It was created by secular socialist Jews. The biggest single donor to the GOP was Sheldon Adelson, a Jew. Oh my God. Brother, you are missing the forest for the trees. And I'm definitely going to stop responding to you very soon. Okay? You are not understanding the point I am making. There are a shit ton more real Christians that unconditionally defend Israel, even if they themselves are anti-Semitic. Why are you refusing to recognize that? Especially when we talk about the West Bank. Most of the settlement operations and the funding for settlement operations in the West Bank actually come from American Christians. America's interest across the board for Israel and its continuation as an apartheid regime. So your argument is that there are more Christians than Jews. So, and yeah, a lot of dumb Christians support Israel. That's what subversion does. Okay, so you do recognize it. Got it. Okay. So you understand what I'm saying. Okay. And yet you still think it's like Jews that are the main reason. Jews that are the main reason for why we defend Israel. He agrees with you but doesn't want to agree with you? Yeah, because he's a fucking idiot. And also anti-Semitic. Yeah. Yeah. Jews are hypnotizing the Christians with their hypnosis power. Sissy hypno. Yes, AIPAC owns our Congress. That's why we have unconditional support for Israel from both sides. AIPAC, just like the NRA, is not the end-all be-all. Lobbying doesn't work in the way that you think it does. And I fear that even I myself have contributed to this shitty fucking point of discourse by consistently talking about lobbying. Okay? Lobbying is only there for when it matters the most. When there is actually political calculations that need to be done, Like when push comes to shove in the aftermath of Sandy Hook, for example, lobbying is how you get politicians to not make the right choice, only in moments where it matters. Lobbying is not how one becomes a Zionist. Okay? That's it. Talk with us Israelis who are speaking nonsense. Have a debate with us Israelis who are content creators. Have a debate with us Israelis. Talk with us Israelis who are speaking nonsense. Bro, I love that I'm talking to a fucking anti-Semite here. And once again, the Israeli guy is like, no, you don't understand actually. No, the anti-Semitic guy isn't wrong actually. AIPAC is controlling Congress for good. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, there is no better representation that like Israelis just care about fucking Israel doing ethnic cleansing and apartheid more than anti-Semitism than this very moment. Okay? I'm over here shitting on a fucking fascist who's like Jews control America. They've hypnotized American Christians into defending Israel unconditionally, trying to explain to them why there are genuine material reasons as to why America wants Israel to continue operating in the way that it fucking does in a resource-rich region that it wants to destabilize and control. And Israel is an unsinkable aircraft carrier. Israel is a settler colony, a settler colonial state that offers them tools of espionage, that offers the American imperialist agenda a unsinkable aircraft carrier, tools of espionage, and on top of that, a forward operating base that they can use. And you're over here being like, no, you don't understand. Fuck the Nazi that you're yelling at. Talk to me about why Israel doesn't actually want to do havoc in Gaza. It's just a big ass oopsie. Hassan, that is an IDF soldier. Oh my God, I love that. Who the fuck is Daniel Amram? If I'm Jewish and don't support what Israel does that make me a non-Jew or what? I mean, we're currently watching Jews get fucking put into paddy wagons right now. Anyway. We don't want to kill Palestinians. We want peace. That's crazy. Well, maybe you should stop killing Palestinians then. If you want peace. That's my goal. That's what I want too. Isn't Christianity using many conservative talking points? Maybe they shouldn't have started this war, and maybe they should drop the weapones. Started this war. Bro, Israel didn't fucking exist out of nothing, and October 7 was the first time. Okay? October 7 is not the start of the quote-unquote war. Okay? Fucking ridiculous. On October 6th, Euromed Monitor literally wrote a fucking report on... Oh, shit. Hold on 1 second. Alo baba. Okay, gönderiyorum. Bekle bir dakika. Okay. Göndereceğim. Bir dakika.
Representative of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished ministers, colleagues, Secretary General, how many times has this council met to discuss ways to advance the release of our hostages held in Gaza? How many times? Not even once. How many condemnations has this council issued against Hamas or for their heinous October 7th massacre? Zero. Yet rather than condemning Hamas's atrocities or taking action, real action, to bring our hostages home, this council will be voting upon a resolution to recommend granting the Palestinian Authority full membership status, a Palestinian state. How detached from reality can this council be to dedicate its time and resources to support a resolution so disconnected to the reality on the ground? To a resolution that will have zero positive impact for any party, that will cause only destruction for years to come, and harm any chance for future dialogue. Colleagues, 6 months after October 7th, the most brutal massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, this council seeks to reward the supporters and perpetrators of these atrocities with statehood. The child-murdering Hamas rapists are watching this meeting and they are smiling. There is no bigger prize for terror than...
Yeah, thank you. That's it. That's a good. That's the good stuff right there. Actual fucking demon. Am I stupid or is your volume lower today? I don't think so. All right. What were we? What was I talking about? Sorry, I had to. My dad called. Kaya. Come here. Place. Good girl. You're talking about finishing Walking Dead? Oh, yeah, here. The UNSC. We'll look at the UN Security Council right now for members talking about members deliberating before they vote.
President, in last 6 months, we have been repeatedly urging the Council and in the General Assembly for an immediate ceasefire to save the innocent civilians' lives in Gaza. However, the reality continues to be absolutely frustrating and unacceptable that the death toll is rising. People are dying in front of us, and we are here every time reporting the rising numbers, which has crossed 34,000 now. Even though this council finally could adopt Resolution 2728 3 weeks ago, calling for an immediate ceasefire during the month of Ramadan, leading to a lasting, sustainable ceasefire, nothing has changed on the ground. Aggression and killing of innocent civilians by Israel continues. We are also nowadays being educated that Security Council resolutions are not binding. Madam President, we are witnessing continued, unabated and planned killings of civilians, unprecedented killings of UN staffs, humanitarian workers, destroying of hospitals and shelters, forced starvation, and blocking of humanitarian assistance while millions of people are in dire need of emergency life-saving assistances.
Sorry, it wasn't Euromed Monitor. It was the Defense of Children International Palestine DCIP human rights group said on Thursday, 5th October 2023, 2 days before October 7. The New Arab wrote an article titled 2023 is the deadliest year for Palestinian children, say human rights group. Okay? So how did that happen? How was 2023 before October 7 the deadliest year for Palestinian children if the war started on October 7? How does that work? Were they just fucking, perishing? Was it a natural disaster? This is from Save the Children, September 13th or 18th, 2023. 2023 marks deadliest year on record for children in the occupied West Bank. Did they go back in time and punish those Palestinian children for the crimes of October 7 that might happen in the future? Or was October 7 retaliation for 75 years of occupation and endless brutality? This does not make October 7 good, but it certainly contextualizes a little bit, doesn't it? Damn, why Hassan doesn't host ever anything in that fucking Discord like he does nothing all day after he's done streaming, right? Wait, what? On average, it equates to more than one Palestinian child killed per week. At least 6 Israeli children have also been killed this year as the second consecutive year for record numbers of child fatalities in the West Bank. This highlights the worsening situation for children's safety across the occupied Palestinian territories. Anyway, so I don't think that it started on October 7 at all. Okay? You are deluding yourself into thinking that it started on October 7 in order to find some moral permission, some fucked up moral permission for the actions of the Israeli state post October 7. Wall Street Journal reports on the Biden deal. Saudi recognizes Israel in exchange for Palestinian statehood. Some people look at you and the other few guys online who will never refuse to stop defending the Palestinians as just angry, aggrieved, and unhappy. It's such a BS to try to write off your message and passion, and it angers me to no end. I will always stand with the Palestinians. Always. Anyway. What is this? That's awesome. The realignment, baby. The motherfucking realignment. I don't understand how everyone can see babies being slaughtered in 4K with drones and AI and not think that the risk is insane with the right-wing parties that are all over the world close to power. People, neoliberalism demands short-term thinking for short-term profits. That's it. We're not in the business of long-term community building. We're not in the business of long-term sustainability. And that is precisely what happens here as well.
Keep going, please. Keep going.
I wouldn't say any of that stuff constitutes a war. The full-scale war did begin. Yeah, of course you don't want to say that. Brother, the whole point is, that's the issue. That's why October 7 happened. Because it is easy for you to think on the other side of the apartheid that there are no costs to maintaining an apartheid. The normal conditions of Israel's existence on October 6th are still phenomenally dangerous and violent for the Palestinians. That doesn't mean that any of what Israel's doing isn't terrible and hasn't been a very long time. This is fucked up, full stop, but clearly it isn't a war, and suggesting that undermines the atrocities Israel's now committing, in my opinion. I mean, it's not a war. It's an ethnic cleansing campaign. The point I use for the children being murdered in 2023 is not to say, like, that's the reason why October 7 happened. That's simply a microcosm of the overall conditions of the Palestinians. Yeah, I mean, if that's your point, you didn't do a very good job of saying it up front. The point is, you cannot push people into a fucking corner. So much nonsense, so keep spreading bullshit. You can't argue with what I'm saying, so you just fucking swing wildly at the fences. Okay? What did I say that was bullshit? Please, just be clear. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll change my mind. There's 22,000 people in here. Maybe you'll change their minds too. Go ahead. I'm waiting. That's it. It always ends at this, by the way. It either ends at this or a debate that will devolve into this person openly stating that they just don't see Palestinians as humans. Because that is where the fundamentals of this conversation come from. Okay? Damn, wasn't talking to you? What? Okay. We do it every time. And then I end up saying, they say you're supporting terrorism. And then I say, I don't support the Israeli state. That is the terrorist state. And then it usually ends there. Holy shit, with all this, you're saying nonsense. Do you really know? You really don't know how brutal October 7th was? You also have no idea what's going on during the last 75 years. Israel's not in the wrong at all. And so are the Palestinians. All you're doing is using your popularity to spread nonsense into everybody's ears while you are claiming that you are just giving people information. You just said you will always stand with the Palestinians. What about the Israel side? Wait, what do you mean? Why are there actual Israeli chatters in here who agree with me, you think? Just think about it a little bit. Maybe their brain is not so fucking broken. Stop your debating an IDF soldier. I mean, I'll debate them. I remember a few months back when footage leaked of an IDF soldier almost blowing her head off with a tank. This is the journalist that tried to say, oh, it was just a joke. Haha, it wasn't real. I'll do a guest star. Don't debate them. They'll blow up. What do you mean? Why the fuck would they? I mean, what do you mean by that? That's a real question. Daniel Amram is someone that's really good at finding people's info. Don't get the Israeli chatters into this. I checked the stream for a second, and it was when you were pulling up a source and he hit it. I mean, dude, that's how they operate. That's how you have to operate. If you're fucking defending Israel, you have to literally shelter your side from the truth. That's it. You have to be like, no, don't look at that. He's just lying. It's Hamas. He's pulling up Hamas. Yeah, Hamas wrote the article. Hamas. This part is actually the most correct, most prescient, most important take from Volodymyr Zelensky. Justice serves the Israeli interest as well. The Zionist narrative of relying on military superiority forever while we maintain apartheid is way more likely to lead us getting fucking killed. That's exactly why I always say Israel does not make the Israeli Jews safe. Israel certainly doesn't make Jews around the world safe, and it definitely doesn't even make the Israeli Jews safe because of its increasingly violent means of maintaining an apartheid against millions of people that they have caged and humiliated. Ultimately, those people are understandably going to fight back. This is a reality that high-ranking Israeli officials, military commanders, former Shin Bet administrators have also acknowledged as well. This is also precisely the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu, the favored enemy of all liberal Zionists in Israel, routinely finds himself aligned with out and about anti-Semitic fascists globally. Anyway, good faith Krizimir, why not discuss Cornel West more? I know there's no chance he can win. However, I still find it important to advocate for leftist third-party alternatives. I don't really care. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Colombia is known to spend buckets of money on caring for these lawns. Funny in some respect to see how eager the school is to shut down student protests against their investment practices, that they're pouring hot coffee on the grass they take pains to manicure. Are Zionists welcome here? Yeah, welcome as long as they're willing to fucking sit down and learn. Describe the average Zionist, please. I mean, Zionism is, especially in its modern iteration, just contemporary fascism. It is a fascist ideology. That's what it is. Okay? But, having said that, I do believe that anyone and everyone can be rehabilitated away from bad positions, right-wing positions, reactionary positions that they hold on to. The Piker reign will come to an end. I don't know what that means. The working class hates you. That's not true, but it's all right. I don't think you're interested in Israel at all, though. I think you're just basically in here to stir shit up. I'm literally in Palestine right now. Okay, dude. This is great. This guy's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Palestine, Ohio.
This is the New York City Police Department. You are currently participating in an unauthorized encampment. Gather your belongings, disperse from the lawn, and leave the campus immediately. Do not disperse. You will be arrested and charged with trespass. This is the New York City Police Department. Currently participating in an unauthorized encampment. Gather your belongings, disperse from the lawn, and leave the campus immediately. If you do not...
Why do all the protesters always sound so soy in 2HP voice? Yeah, no, totally, dude. You, on the other hand, sound fucking awesome. They're doing something that is infinitely braver than anything you will ever do for the rest of your fucking life. You're chirping on a Twitter stream, or you're chirping on a Twitch stream with a fucking sock account that you've created that you called Mike Wazowski 69. Suck my fucking dick. Literally, that's your probably 5th fake account that you made. Yeah, you're so alpha, dude. You know what's real alpha, dude? Just sitting at home, eating fucking Cheetos, waiting for my mommy to make me dino chicken nuggies, and twiddling my fucking toes while posting about kids who are out there putting their fucking bodies on the line. On what legal ground is the NYPD arresting students? Trespassing. That's the legal reason why they're doing it. But the real reason why they're doing it, obviously, is because, you know, the college doesn't like that these students have been creating encampments on the lawn, on the beautifully manicured lawn, and demanding that Columbia University divest. Honestly, I think the average Israeli doesn't know what Zionism is. The settlers do, and more political people do. But in my experience is that many Israelis don't know exactly what it means for there to be a Jewish state and what the implications of that are. Israeli historiography makes that very easy because there was our small, brave state and the Arabs who will always hate us, and that's it. No need to think about Palestine then. Yeah. No, I see that. I think that level of propaganda... also is like easy to dismantle. It's definitely hard when you're so personally invested in it. Chat, stop fucking yelling nice colonizer apologia. Shut the fuck up. He's right. He's giving the POV of the average Israeli. And he's not wrong. You need to fucking relax, okay? Jesus Christ. Let's stop infantilizing Israelis. Oh my God. No, this is not infantilization. This is talking about how fascist propaganda can be so easy to tap into and believe, okay? That's why I always say reactionary thinking is like a warm hug. It's a simple solution. It's a simple answer. Everything is super simple. The violence must continue. Actually, there is no violence at all. Calm the fuck down. And the point that I was trying to make here is that kind of propaganda is actually fairly easy to dismantle because it's kind of like this. Israel, for a very long time, presented the Palestinians as barbaric, rapist, bloodthirsty monsters, and they continue to do so after October 7. But people inevitably started recognizing that the real barbarians, or the ones doing barbaric things, was the Israeli occupying force. This happened in the Western world fairly quickly. And it hasn't changed. It's gotten only worse and worse. When you present your opposition as though they are amoral, illogical, barbaric monsters that aren't human, but then they show the real situation on the ground, a lot of people will, especially if they're far removed from the conversation, a lot of people will be able to make up their own minds. Especially when Israel gives them enough truth as to why Palestinians despise the Israeli state. That's the reason why the whole, these guys are all anti-Semitic and they're operating on anti-Semitic virtues doesn't work. It only works if people are sheltered from the truth. If people are directly misled away from the normal living conditions of the average fucking Palestinian being dire over and over again. That's it. Ultimately, though, it is right-wing thinking. It is reactionary thinking. It's fascist thinking, because it operates in the exact same way that, like, it's very difficult to try to explain to a dude who has lived a sheltered life that America is a white supremacist country. They immediately are like, what the fuck do you mean it's a white supremacist country? Get the fuck out of here. It's hard to shake people when that's all they know. Okay? But that doesn't stop me from trying to, decode that and try to get people to see a different perspective. And it does work. This is exactly the same concept of how most Americans can't understand systemic racism, even well-meaning liberals who don't recognize systemic injustice. The ideology of Zionism is so deeply ingrained in every facet of Israeli life that average Israelis don't recognize it. Yep. Lamar, who's calling America a white supremacist country? I am, dude. What do you mean? America was literally designed as a white supremacist nation. This is true. And while, many instances of progress has been made dismantling some of the overt white supremacist aspects of this country that started with, a bunch of white dudes who owned slaves. Check my chat. I'm not trying to be annoying. I just need you to see my point. All I'm saying is all you do is show people how many Palestinians died during the war. What about Israel? Do you not care about how much Israeli people died during October 7th? I mean, I've covered that extensively. But, 6 months later, it's a little bit ridiculous for me to go back to October 7 over and over again. Do you not care about the over 100 hostages that are still in Gaza? I do care about them. That's why I want a ceasefire. I care about them. That's why I think Israel should do everything in its power to stop bombing Gaza and instead try to extract some of these hostages. Except Israel has killed more hostages. Israel is the #1 killer of Israeli hostages. I'm not defending Israel's actions after October 7. It does seem like you are. But what I'm saying is you're only looking at the Palestinian side. Also, I am Israeli and I am biased, but so are you. Yes, I am biased. I'm biased against genocide. And streaming all of this to teens is wrong. I've seen about 50 fuck Israel in 1 minute. Yes, brother. I am biased. I believe, and I know, it's not that I believe, I agree with all of these institutions that correctly point that Israel is an apartheid state before October 7 and is doing ethnic cleansing in Gaza since October 7. Yeah, I have a perspective here. So if you are Israeli, you're in Israel, and you talk about the hostages in Gaza, I don't know what the Israeli media covers and what it doesn't cover, even though there are some great Israeli outlets out there that do phenomenal work, like 972 Plus Magazine. Some of the journalists at Haaretz are great. Even fucking Ynet from time to time will have a banger article about the weird practices. Okay? My question to you is, if the Israeli government cares about extracting these hostages, why haven't they made concessions? Why haven't they stopped bombing the hostages? Why haven't they stopped killing the hostages, the Israeli hostages, both directly on the ground with live ammunition, as they did a couple months back, and also by bombing them? See, this man is at least a little bit more honest, because then they'll take more hostages. When you block, why don't you call the anti-Semitism in your community, dog? Point to one singular anti-Semitic statement that we haven't culled. I used to watch you when I was in college 2019. It's sad to see where you've ended up. I work at Goldman Sachs, actually. Can I still be a communist like you if I work at Goldman Sachs? Maybe. Point to one singular anti-Semitic statement that has gone through the filters here that we haven't clapped. I think you literally were tuning in while I was shitting on an anti-Semitic person who was saying Jews control America. So you heard me do that. That person wasn't even a fucking community member, by the way. That was a random dude with a random account. Just like you. You're not a community member. Maybe you were at some point, and then you got banned, and then you made a new account on February 8, 2022, and you've been using that ever since. It's funny, during the 2014 Gaza war, the media conscripted to protect Israelis from seeing Palestinians suffering almost immediately. It was so bad that a few weeks into the war, they got calls from the Prime Minister's office and the IDF spokesperson to show more of Gaza's destruction because Israelis were beginning to think only we were getting hit, and you couldn't end a war like that. Obviously, no call from the Prime Minister's office this time, lol. Now they want blood. Sure, let me scroll up thousands of messages to find it. Oh, so you're admitting that there are thousands of messages that are fucking going in high speed, and yet we still do such a phenomenal job of fucking clapping anti-Semitic fascist pieces of shit in here that you're having a hard time finding it because there is none. It's as close to zero as you can physically possibly get to. That is the reason why you're having such a fucking hard time. Or maybe you're having such a fucking hard time with it because I'm not going to say that there isn't a literal... I'm not going to say that there wasn't... No, you can't fucking be reinstated into the community after buying merchandise, dumb fuck. This is the dumbest troll attempt of all time, bro. You're very close to getting your... You're very close to getting your stupid fucking account banned, your sock account banned as well. I want to hear from this guy, though. What is this? I don't look at what my news telling me. I try to only see facts. Yeah, but Hamas is not any better. No, Hamas, unironically, is the lesser evil of the two. If you look at the civilian casualties, if you look at the civilian deaths versus the deaths of soldiers, Hamas's percentages are infinitely better than Israel. That's just facts. So no, Hamas is the lesser evil. That's how fucking awful the IDF has been. I don't look at what my news are telling me. I only try to see the facts. If you see the facts on that front, then how about the fact that Israel has killed more than 35,000 Palestinians in the past 6 months? 2/3 are women and children. This is before we talk about the elderly and also male civilians over the age of 18. Israel's killed hundreds of journalists. Israel has killed more than 200 humanitarian aid workers. Israel has started on October 7 by claiming that they're fighting human animals and therefore they have to shut off their electricity, food, and water, which they did do, by the way. Israel's blown up the entire healthcare infrastructure of Gaza, which was already fairly ascetic to begin with. Those are the facts. Israel has made the entirety of the Gaza Strip comprised of 2 million Palestinians that were already forcibly relocated to said Gaza Strip, making up one of the most population-dense areas on the fucking planet, an open-air prison, into an unlivable hellscape. Tens of thousands of children ruthlessly slaughtered by Israeli weapons. The child death numbers favor Hamas on this front. If you were looking at just straight, pure, analytically looking at facts, you could not say that Israel is the better party here. You just can't. You can maybe try to reason as to why Israel is doing it by saying, well, they had no other option, blah, 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 but you can't say, I'm looking simply at facts. Because you're not. Yeah, but Hamas is not any better. You said, and then you said, well, I didn't say they're better in any way. No. I didn't say they're the better party. Okay, so you understand that they are the worst party in this conflict. Okay, got it. Yes, the genocidaires are the worst party in this conflict, of course. The militarized nuclear state that does not have, under international authority, under international humanitarian law, has no legal basis to defend itself in an offensive campaign in Gaza as a belligerent occupier, is not the right party in this situation. It's not. And they're fighting a group that's just hiding below hospitals and schools. See, you're doing the rationalization that has been spoon-fed to you. What can they do? They killed a lot of people during October 7th attack. Do you think they will just sit and take it? I mean, I've said this after 9/11, but America would be in an infinitely better place overall. The world would be in an infinitely better place overall if America just sat back and took it. Look at what Israel has done since then. They've destroyed whatever credibility they may have had in the Western world. Israel cannot live, survive, operate in the way that it wants to without Western support, unconditional Western support. It is that same bloodlust and then same arrogance, thinking that this support will keep flowing, that will allow Israel to, or that causes Israeli officials to think that they can just continue this violence and this bloodshed without any without any cost whatsoever. That arrogance is exactly how October 7 happened. That arrogance of thinking that you can maintain an apartheid for 75 years under martial law for the Palestinians in the West Bank after 1967, an open-air prison in Gaza. That arrogance is how October 7 happened. And the faster Israelis recognize that and try to change this reality, the faster we can arrive at a permanent peace in the region. The reason why I said nuclear brinksmanship, and it's in the title, is because the Iranian commander says Tehran could review nuclear doctrine amid Israeli threats. Israel has also signaled that they might be interested in striking Iran's nuclear capabilities. But you should strike the top of the hour ad break by subscribing. Wow, you just said that Hamasaki is less evil than IDF. I recommend you watch some video from 710. Hamasaki burn children. They kill on purpose innocent civilian. We don't target children in Gaza. What interest do we have in doing this? Hamas are animals. Dude, this is the only good question that you have asked so far. What interest do we have in doing this? You should examine that further. Because that means that you still have a conscience deep down inside that you think like, yeah, of course, I don't agree with targeting and killing children. So think. The logic you're using for Palestine and Israel can be used back to back the Nazis in World War II. No, it cannot. Okay? It cannot. You want to know why? It can't? Because Germany and the arguments that the Nazi government made against Jews was built on falsehoods. Unless you literally think personally that the Nazis were right about what they said about Jews, you cannot believe this. The Palestinians, however, are facing very real oppression from the Israeli state. Israel itself is closer in this equation to the Nazi government as far as being a machine of death and destruction. The Nazis were the machine of death and destruction in World War II. Israel is the machine of death in this equation. It's like looking at the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and then blaming the Jewish resistance groups. It's crazy. I don't know if you've seen this, but the Israeli reaction to Channel 12 footage of Gaza being seen on the beach has been very interesting. Prominent centrists and liberal intellectuals quote tweet by sarcastically saying genocide in air quotes. Right-wingers are grieving at their lack of total victory, calling for more bombs, duality of man. Yeah. But before October 7th, there weren't any problems, of course. Gaza wasn't a comfortable place to live in, but it wasn't actively being attacked. Hamas destroyed that piece during the October 7th attack. Of course, you can say that they were just trying to get their land back. No, it's not about just simply trying to get your land back. But they're just using a group of people with weapons. Why did they do October 7th if they knew they didn't have a chance against an entire country? Because October 7th is an act of desperation. I've talked about this quite a bit as well. People don't strap a suicide vest on and blow up a bus stop because they think it's awesome. People don't do that because they are just simply that anti-Semitic. People do that because their whole families have been slaughtered. People do that to be recognized. Palestinians, and I'm sure you don't know this, have tried peaceful protest time and time again. Last one being a coordinated effort in 2018 called the Great March of Return. Palestinians marched every Friday to the Israeli border wall, the border wall that was placed unjustifiably, by the way. Israel's retaliation to such things, which you probably did not see for the record, was sniping them by the hundreds. October 7 is not the last nor the first time that Israel has laid siege on Gaza. Israel used to call it mowing the lawn. That was what the operations were called. Prominent Israeli figures have openly championed prior sieges as well. And it always happens with in the same exact ways. Israel keeps increasing pressure on the West Bank Palestinians that they have completely destroyed the lives of on illegal occupied land, mind you. The militant resistance to the Israeli apartheid in Gaza says, stop doing that. We are going to retaliate. they do. They lob a couple fucking missiles. Obviously, they get intercepted by our beautiful Iron Dome. When I say our, I'm talking about the American Iron Dome. And then Israel goes in to do a military operation, a special military operation, you know, like what Vladimir Putin says. And so did Israelis. Israel did offer peace in the past multiple times. The Palestinians didn't want peace. That's a lie. That's a lie that has been told to you time and time again. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it is an honest effort, a conciliatory effort, when you say you want to have peace when your foot is on the neck of the other person? Do you think that's honest? When you are holding someone captive, Nelson Mandela famously was demanded by the apartheid government in South Africa to denounce violence, the violent actions of the ANC. If he were to denounce the violent actions of the ANC and also communism, those were the two things that they asked, okay? Nobody told me that. You can't just assume that I'm being fed lies. Well, I mean, this is objectively a falsehood, and I'm trying to describe to you why you're wrong, so just maybe listen then, instead of being like, oh, I'm not fed a lie. I came up with the lie on my own, because ultimately you are still wrong on this, okay? You are objectively wrong. Nelson Mandela famously was told if he denounces communism and he denounces violent resistance to the apartheid, that he will be let out early. To which he responded with, how can I be an even actor in this negotiation when you have me in chains? He was right. How can the Palestinians ever have real peace? How can the Palestinians be offered a real peace process when the starting point of said peace process was always bullshit? The starting point of the said peace process was simply to create a Israeli security apparatus force with a Palestinian face on it, which operates as the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, that jails Palestinians, that gives Palestinian targets to the Israeli state, that collaborates with the Israeli state frequently. And for all of the bargaining in that peace process, all you get as a Palestinian is the destruction of whatever statehood you thought you could cling on to in the West Bank. Since the 90s onward, the West Bank has been deliberately targeted and occupied and settled by Jewish settlers from all around the world, but especially inside of Israel. The numbers in, I believe, 1988 were somewhere around like 7,000. There were only 7,000 Israeli Jews living in the West Bank, specifically both in East Jerusalem and West Bank in its entirety. That number is now 750,000. That was the outcome for the Palestinians that tried to negotiate with the Israeli state, because it was never a real peace process at all. And the last guy that actually offered at least some semblance of a statehood was assassinated. And those who called for his assassination are currently leading the Israeli war cabinet, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Benjamin Netanyahu. So the notion that there was a real peace process was silly. They did offer peace. Are you saying that they didn't? Also, there was no Palestine when the Jews came to this land. It was the British land, and all the Jews did. No, before that, it was the Ottoman land. So, remember that. Things were a lot better back then for Palestinians than it is now. Let me tell you. The Jews came to this land. It was the British land, and all the Jews did was declare our country before Palestinians did. It was simply just a race. Of course, the Palestinians didn't like that. That's not true. That is also an objective falsehood. This is not even historical analysis that the likes of Benny Morris would agree with, for the record. In 88, it was around 65 to 7,000, if I recall. Yeah, but the settler population doubled in the 90s. I thought it was like in the 70s and the 80s. I thought it was like around 7,000, not 70,000. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering the numbers now. You can't call dibs on a land where there were people living in it who already were desperately trying to have their own national movement. Why do you think the fucking riots against the British government occurred? Palestinians were already there. You're saying Jews came to this land as though there weren't already Palestinians, and Jewish Palestinians, as a matter of fact, that were already there. This is ridiculous. I call dibs first is a ridiculous way to try to justify the creation of the Israeli state. Also, Yigal Amir doesn't speak for anybody. He regrets everything he did. Brother, the Zionist project started off with a lie that this was a land without people for a people without land. The lie there was that it was not a land without people. There were people there, and everybody understood that. Hold on. I find them, Baba.
Membership will definitely consecrate the two-state solution that the occupying authorities continue to stand openly against. This membership will constitute a rejection of their attempt to erase the Palestinian people and to destroy the Palestinian state and every prospect of peace. Let us welcome Palestine to the UN, and in doing so, relaunch a genuine peace process between equals, paving the way for a lasting peace in the Middle East. Failure to do so, it is, again, a denial of this very Council of its responsibilities. Failure to act is a serious and forgivable mistake. Failure to wake up today is a license for continuing injustice and impunity. Failure to do so is everlasting shame. The call for Palestinian freedom must be heeded. The call for free Palestine, resonating across the globe, must be a reality enjoyed by the Palestinian people. Madam President, I conclude with what the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has stated before the General Assembly last year. And I quote, "The time has come for Palestine."
Wait, you found the quote? This is your anti-Semitic quote? The Palestinians are the descendants of the Jews 3,000 years ago, not those European settlers? That's the anti-Semitism? You think... Maybe the second part of that, but the first part of that is not anti-Semitic at all. It's just the truth. It's something that I say all the fucking time, as a matter of fact. How the fuck did you get a job at Goldman Sachs if you're this stupid? The Palestinians that Israel is currently killing are legitimately the descendants of the Jews that remained, that did not leave. The second part of it is the part that is not correct. They are European settlers. There are a lot of Jewish people in Israel that are European settlers. However, they are also descendants of the same people. The difference, however, is that those who remained converted to either Christianity or to Islam later down the line. That's it. It's pretty funny, though, that this is what you found. This is the anti-Semitic thing that you found. Yes, they vetoed it.
Adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council. I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements after the vote. I pass the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam President. Madam President. Madam President. This day may go down in history as a day when, after three-quarters of a century, the international...
Yeah, I also never said that the European settlers are not Jews. I just said that, yes, exactly, that their Judaism does not mean that they could just like occupy in violent ways a land where people live in. That's it. My dad is going crazy with Kaya right now. He's so excited to see her.
The decisions of international life. And a question that we have constantly answered with consent, and when Israel was welcomed into the UN, and when dozens of states also released from the colonial yoke were welcomed into the UN. However, our American colleagues believe differently. Having for the fifth time since the beginning of the exacerbation in Gaza their veto, they have once again demonstrated what they really think of the Palestinians. For Washington, they do not deserve to have their own state. They are only a barrier on the path towards realizing the interests of Israel. For that reason, the United States is ready to the last to turn a blind eye to the crimes of Israel against the civilians in Gaza, not noting the illegal settlement building activity in West Jerusalem on the West Bank. The aim is to break the Palestinians' will, to force them once and for all to submit to the occupying power, to turn them into servants and second-class persons, and perhaps to once and for all force them out of their native territory. That policy is only having the opposite impact.
What do you think about the Quran says about Jews deserving punishment for the killings they've done? Don't you think that train of thought could have a hand in the recent chaos? Brother, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? This is such a fucking idiotic assessment. Yeah, dude, it's Islam. That's Islam and the Quran and their and the Palestinian understanding and interpretation of the Quran that causes the Palestinian Christians alongside the Palestinian Muslims to feel some type of way about Israel's violent actions. Normally, if it wasn't for the fucking Quran, that they're blown up houses, blown up schools, blown up mosques, blown up churches would actually look very normal. I hate when a bitch I don't like serves. Oh, you're talking about Russia? Yes, it's true.
National actions by their ally and reluctant to find just solutions on the basis of the existing international legal basis is a direct path to...
This is why people are so ridiculous. Like,
into them.
It doesn't fucking mean anything. And also, like religion is such a dumb fucking argument to make in this circumstance. It is just ideology, okay? Ideology that is utilized as a galvanizing force. That's simply it. That's why I always laugh at people being like, Judaism demands this or some shit. It's ridiculous.
Of tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians, and that is not worthy of a great power, and history will not forgive you for that. We call on the United States to listen to the voice of reason, to think about the consequences.
You trust the numbers that Hamas publishes? Yes, I do. I do trust the Hamas numbers. Once again, not only lesser evil in terms of like civilian casualties in comparison to soldiers, but Hamas is infinitely more trustworthy with the Hamas-run health ministry numbers than Israel has ever been. Israel has shown time and time again that it will use the position that it has in mainstream media in the West to lie regularly and contextualize the violence that they're engaging in. However, Hamas's numbers are so trusted that the IDF trusts the Hamas numbers. The American State Department trusts the Hamas numbers time and time again. As a matter of fact, international NGOs have looked into the Hamas health ministry numbers on death tolls, and the reality is that they're sometimes wrong. They just do an undercount. That's the problem. So yes, of course, I, alongside with the rest of the fucking world and every single international organization, completely trust the Palestinian health ministry numbers, the Gazan health ministry numbers.
We also have long been clear that premature actions here in New York, even with the best intentions, will not achieve statehood for the Palestinian
Dude, it's so
people.
funny. It's like,
as members of the Security Council, we have a special responsibility to ensure that our actions further the cause of international peace and security and are consistent with the requirements of the UN Charter. As reflected in the report of the Admission Committee, there was not unanimity among committee members as to whether the applicant met the criteria for membership as set forth in Article 4 of the UN Charter. For example, there are unresolved questions as to whether the applicant meets the criteria to be considered a state. We have long called on the Palestinian Authority to undertake necessary reforms to help establish the attributes of readiness for state.
how the fuck do you think a one-state solution is going to work when Israeli society is still deeply consumed by racist, fascist ideology due to their social conditioning? I mean, look at the United States of America. Yes, the conditions for black people here are still definitely much worse on average than the conditions for everybody else. But having said that, if Israeli society tomorrow with a magical wand could turn into the American society of today, it would be hailed as the single greatest humanitarian achievement of all time. Do you understand? There are also many such instances, many examples in recent history where conflict seems endless and it seems that it will only get worse. And yet you look at a country like South Africa that has been able to successfully abolish apartheid. You look at Algeria. You look at Ireland. These things take time, but time heals all wounds. I'm not saying that there isn't resistance. There won't be resistance. Of course there will be. But ultimately, that needs to be handled as a domestic affair, not as a violent, occupying military force. That's it. Look at Nazi Germany. Look at the entire history of Europe. Those motherfuckers fought each other for hundreds of years. Nowadays, we live in the aftermath of World War II, and it seems unimaginable that European countries would go to war with one another. If you can take that peace for granted, then you can understand that the human condition is not one that constantly demands war and bloodshed, but is actually way more comfortable with peace. Germany probably isn't the best example because they are Nazifying at an alarming rate, it seems, but, you know, so far so good.
Damn, this guy's good.